thanks for joining us, guys. This is obviously a little bit different here. With the pandemic going on, there's been very few positives that you can really look to. I think, two for me is, I got a lot of friends that work at Kroger. I think they got a lot of bonuses over the last 3 months, I think every 3 months. And the fact that I haven't had to do any of these. So this really, that's the biggest positive is probably not having to do these the last 6 months. So, but no, our right now, every day we practice is a good day. It's just, I'm sitting here talking in front of a screen, a computer screen to you. Our guys, I think, have been really resilient. I think it's really come in waves. And what I mean by waves in terms of, we were gone from each other for 5 straight months, and then we were to get around each other a little bit more. And then we had to go do some Zooms at the beginning when they got here so everybody could get healthy in terms of not healthy but tested. And then went into workouts and able to go home for a little bit and come back. So it's not been the typical calendar, and certainly not been the typical rhythm that you would have going into games in November. But I think our guys have been really resilient, and I've really been proud of how they've handled the last 7 or 8 months.
Coach, a lot of new faces on this team this year. How have those been shaping out for you? What are you expecting out of those?
Well, like anything else, as we talk, we're talking in terms of basketball right now, and the world has gone through way more changes, and there's people that have tougher jobs than I have. But speaking to our basketball team, not the greatest time to have a lot of new faces, just because of the inability to be around your guys for majority of the summer, and the inconsistencies of being around them, on an everyday basis sometimes. So that's the challenge we have. I think, veteran teams are really going to have an advantage here going into the season. But I do think our guys have done a pretty good job of, one, having an intensity and a focus about them every day in practice, and two, just trying to mesh personalities together. That's we try to do it on the court. We try to do it in a limited capacity off the court, because you really can't do a whole lot off the court. It's been a real challenge.
Coach, you were picked 4th in the preseason poll. I'm curious if you feel like that's a fair ranking, or if you would have any interest or care in preseason.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't. I think it's good for people to talk about and get excited about the season. But I think we were picked 3rd last year, and obviously we're the number 1 seed. And I think my Northern Kentucky teams were picked pretty low as well. So all the people remember is how you finish the season. Certainly not how you started. And our guys, we haven't even really gone over that yet.
Coach, I know you've been big on Mike Saunders for a long time now. Now that he's in your program, you're able to see him and work with him and work him out. What are your first impressions as he's getting acclimated to Cincinnati?
He's been really good. His speed is something that translates to our level immediately. I was really surprised by the physicality. He's got a physicality about him, particularly defensively. To play early in your career, you got to be able to defend. That's why Micah played so much last year. He defended, and he didn't turn the ball over. And Mike Saunders has shown an ability to do that every day in practice. And, it's fun to watch young guys, and we haven't been practicing that long. It's fun to watch them progress and grow a little bit. And I think we've seen some growth in Mike over the course of the last week.
What does Williams have to do to become this team's leading scorer?
Score more points than anybody else?
What's the next step for him?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's not about being the leading scorer for us. I think for Keith, everybody knows he can score. I mean, he's elite at putting the ball in the basket. For Keith to take the next step, it's going to be the efficiency of which he goes about it. He's a really good passer, and then just overall defensively, the ability to really lock down defensively. We talked to Trey last year about being averaging double-digit rebounds and being conference defensive player of the year. And he's done that. And I think Trey's going to be in the NBA at some point. And I think for Keith, along the same lines, what can you do to help your team win, and put that on the defensive end, your ability to make people better, because we already know he's going to be able to score the ball when he's 50. That's just what he does.
This might go kind of hand in hand with the preseason rankings in terms of preseason teams and things like that, but you were a little bothered at the end of last year when Keith wasn't named to any of the AAC first team, second team, third team. Do you feel like maybe that was rectified this year with him getting that first team nod.
Yeah, I find it pretty interesting that again, I'm not all about preseason and stuff, but I find it interesting you don't make first 3 teams, but you make the first team this summer. So I guess he had a hell of a summer. The other coaches and media people must have got a chance to watch him a little bit. He deserved to be on it. I mean, he was the top team in the conference, and he was one of the best players. So, but again, we lost a lot. Jaron Comer and Trey Scott were first team all conference guys, and so there's a lot that you lose in that.
What did Chris and Keith learn from the NBA draft process, and how do you feel like that went for them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if they learned a lot because there really wasn't a process, unfortunately, for everybody involved in that. The NBA teams couldn't meet with you face-to-face. You couldn't travel to their facilities. They went through Zoom calls. They got packets of information from different scouting reports from different NBA teams in terms of their evaluation of film, which I think helped them, and we went over some of those things with each one of those guys individually. But the traditional feedback and the traditional ability to go through what it meant to go through a pro workout with other guys aspiring to achieve what you achieve or want to achieve in the competition and the angst and maybe anxiety that may go into that process, they didn't get a chance to experience. And that I hate for them because that's why that's in place.
You mentioned Trey and Jaron. You know what they can bring, obviously, and what you lose. But, outside of Jaron's scoring and Trey's inside presence, what did those guys bring, and how do you replace that? And is it a by committee, or are there some guys that you're saying, hey, this is now your role?
Yeah. Roles will be developed as we go throughout the season, but I think, when you looked at this year from afar, this was a transitional year, or was supposed to be a transitional year. You were losing, arguably the top 10 player, top 5 player in program history, and Trey Scott, who probably should have been player of the year in the league last year. So you're losing those 2 guys, and it's, roster-wise, what was coming back, and it was going to be a transitional year. It was like, we were going to get to our 10th straight NCAA tournament last year. We were on the verge of getting that done. And then you go into a year that, rosterly, it was going to be a transition. And those guys brought tremendous toughness. They brought a tremendous swagger about them. I joked with both those guys. We've text messaged each other back and forth over the last few weeks. And I joked that, we're going to miss Trey, the everyday stuff Trey did. We're going to miss the big-time games that Jaron did. But I don't know if we're going to miss them as much as we're going to miss the 13,000 people that showed up to every game. So we lost a lot in this offseason.
In the little bit of practice you've had so far, where have you seen Micah kind of make his bigger jumps from his freshman to sophomore year?
Well, he's so consistent, guys. I mean, he brings such a calming presence. He's a multiple position guy. He's a guy that defends at a high level, doesn't turn the ball over, makes the right decisions, great teammate. He doesn't pop off the page with what he does on if you just came to one practice, but if you're at every practice, he's just so important to what this team does.
With David DeJulius, the question for him at Michigan was whether or not he was a point guard. Do you think he's a point guard?
Well, I don't want to pigeonhole our guys into just one position. I do think David's learning the position without question. I think he played alongside probably statistically the best point guard in the country when he was at Michigan. So I think he's learning that. The thing with David is he's insanely competitive. He may have the best work ethic I've ever coached so far. I mean, his work ethic is off the charts, and he's passionate about making other people better. So if you have those qualities, you're going to transition to whatever position we need, and we certainly need him to be able to handle the ball.
Coach, I know you're high on this group of freshmen. How much do you expect you'll have to rely on them, whether it's statistically, scoring, rebounding, assists, or even just minutes?
It's an interesting question. If you look at our roster right now, there's just a lot of guys that probably could contribute, and I think they all feel that way right now. And at the end of the day, you only have 200 minutes at your disposal as a coach, and 5 spots at a time. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes along. And in the COVID, I don't know if we're going to lose guys for 14 days. So you just don't know the dynamics. What I've seen in practice so far is a freshman class that's got a chance to be really, really, really good. And because they're humble and because they're competitive and because they're tough and they're all the core values that we have in our program, and that's why we recruited them. But to be able to answer that in terms of statistically, there'll be no way to know that yet. But I know what I've seen in practice so far. I've been pretty excited.
Coach, there was a lot of talk about Mikey Saunders and his speed and introducing that into the program, but you hadn't seen him on the court yet. Now that you've seen him on the court, just how much of a difference maker is his ability to get end to end and change games with that?
Yeah, I obviously have seen him a lot over the course of knowing him for so long and recruiting him, but in terms of the college level practices, it translates. I think speed and the ability to rebound translate. Shot making doesn't always translate. The ability to consistently defend your position doesn't always translate. But that translates, and especially with his speed. And now it's just having to make the right decisions, which he's really doing a pretty good job of so far.
What do you want your non-conference schedule to look like? Obviously, you're finalizing that now, but how many big tests do you want to see on that?
Well, I want to play as many as we can. That's my biggest concern. Going into it, we had a really, really heck of a non-conference schedule, and I still think we're going to be able to salvage one. It just still remains to fully be seen. The NCAA hasn't told us what the selection committee hasn't told us what our metrics are, so we're kind of going in the dark a little bit, and so we're taking the mindset right now that we want to be able to put a non-conference together that's safe. So we want to try to stay off as many planes as we can. We want to try to stay somewhere we can bus if possible. We also want to put a non-conference schedule together that goes by the metrics they've had in the past, because that's all we can go by. And that's kind of where we're left it. And it's almost November, and it's not finalized.
You talked about having such a young team and losing time over the summer. How frustrating is it to then have to deal with all of the scheduling issues and MTEs getting canceled at the last minute?
Yeah, our staff's done a great job. Jake Lund handles our scheduling, along with the firm that we use in terms of the metric stuff, and he's done a phenomenal job. And just the amount of conversations I've had with head coaches, we're scheduling. The MTE people aren't scheduling the games, we are now. So we're like scheduling our own MTEs right now. And it's weird because the conversation consists of, okay, do you want to play? Not really. Okay. But we have to play because of the numbers. Okay, how far away can you get to this place? Well, I'm about a 4-hour drive. What about you? Okay, we got that. And then it last comes down to, okay, how are they going to COVID test? Well, we're not sure. Well, I'm not sure either. Let me go back to our doctors and our medical staff. So the way you schedule a game right now is completely different than you did before. So.
I know this might not be something that... Go ahead, Keith.
All right. Thanks, Travis. Always appreciate it. I know this is something that you might not be able to figure out until you guys actually play games, John, but with so many of these guys on this roster now recruited by you, how close is this to looking like a team that you would ideally like to have out there as far as the conditioning and getting up and down?
Yeah, the conditioning's not there yet. We're still working on that piece just because we didn't have the normal process to be able to get to here. But Keenan, it's getting closer. It certainly is. I mean, every practice gets a little closer. It's still going to probably, still be some more recruiting classes, but right now it's about the best opportunity to win games and play well. I've been pretty excited so far what I've seen, and usually I hate my teams right now, but I really like these guys a lot. I think but I also think we got to get better at a lot. And there's no exhibition, no scrimmage. You never know what you have until you play an outside opponent. And I'll never forget, I was at Alabama, and I went to the Alabama red-white scrimmage, and we were down, and Coach Saban was standing by the coaches, some of the football and basketball coaches. And I remember he looked at Anthony and myself and said, you never really know what you got until you play somebody else. And I'm thinking, well, you got the best team in the country every year. But you really don't, as a coach, know what you got until you get a chance to play other people. So my biggest concern is that's going to have to take place when it counts.
Coach, the leadership question, losing Trey, especially. We've heard that Rapp and David might be guys that step into that role. How difficult is it for a newcomer to work his way into a position of leadership, and especially with what everything we've seen in the offseason?
Yeah, Chad, very difficult. It speaks to Rapp and David's character that they've been able to achieve as much leadership as they have to this extent. And big reason why we signed those guys, because they'd experienced college basketball and they understood it. And but they didn't understand our system and our vernacular and how we do things in our culture, which we're still building. So for those guys, it's I've been really impressed by what they've brought, but at the same time, we're just not around each other a lot. So the nuances that it takes to be a good basketball team, you don't have that. You're not connected in the way that you were. I really feel bad for our freshmen because they're not experienced what a college life's like or the connectivity that takes place with the team at this point. So big challenges there from a leadership perspective. That's why I just think teams with veteran leadership and veteran teams. I think you see with our football team. I mean, our football team's awesome, and they've got continuity of leadership. They've got continuity of roster, and you said Saturday night at my house, they were hell of a lot of fun to watch.
Well, it's been a long ride. I came a long way here. It's just so crazy how fast time just flew, and just now to be here, and now that we have a set date where the season is starting now, it's just I feel like it's that pressure just relief. You're practicing for a reason now. Instead of just practicing grinding, we're don't know if it's gonna be a season or not. So now it just feels good to be around the staff, the guys again. We missed so much time off now. Just be back as a family. It feels good right now. A new year, just a fresh start.
Keith, can you talk us through what your process was like this summer, just in terms of testing the NBA draft, but then also your thought process in coming back?
Process was of course, it was a weird year. It still is, but it was great. I spoke to some teams. I had 3 Zoom calls with the Bucks, Grizzlies, and the Sixers. Yeah, so it was great. I just heard some things I need to improve on, some things that they like, and just the process for me to return back to school or stay in the draft was is college ball playing this year, So I was just on edge, if I return back to school, there's no season, or I ain't want to feel like I made a bad choice, but it's just right now, I just got to take it just one day at a time, So I'm just happy I came back, help myself, help the team, just to be back here, college is great.
What did NBA teams say they liked about you, and then what did they tell you they wanted to see you improve on?
The teams told me they view me as a two-way guy, so it just saying just stay in the gym, improve my shooting, handling and stuff like that, just everything in my game, just keep improving, and just with me back now as the main guy this year, it just have a chance to show what I could do for real, all aspects of my game.
How different is your relationship with Coach Brannen now, in that you're not getting to know each other, that you've had a year to work together, and you've got a better understanding of him, he's got a better understanding of you.
I feel
how much different is that for you now that you know each other and are working together?
I feel now for me it's more calmer. It's it's no pressure on me no more, because I trust Coach Brannen and the staff, So I feel like last year it was trust, but it was it's a new coach, a new playing style, so it takes time to adjust to it. But now I'm really I trust him a lot, his plan for us in the team, that's my guy.
I think you and Dew are the only scholarship players, remaining that are kind of left over since Coach Brannen took the job. Does it feel like a new program now? Does it feel like his program?
Yeah, it is. It's crazy because I just told dude man, yo, bro, it's just us here left from the last staff, the last ever. So it's just new. It just feels it just feels new. The whole team is damn, it's just a whole new vibe. Everything it's great. But it's definitely wow, from my first year to my last year, it's just me and Dude who's still here standing tall, last one standing. But it's great though. Everything's been going great.
You probably never thought Dude would be the other one standing next to you, right?
Man, it's crazy. But we here.
I see a big smile on your face when you're describing this team and what you guys are going to be going through this year. you guys picked fourth in the conference this year in preseason. I know that means absolutely nothing, but what do people outside the building, what are they not seeing about this team?
I feel like
I guess, go ahead.
I feel like this year's team will surprise a lot of people. You know, like we're gelling so well together. Like the bond, like everyone is just on the same page. I swear, it's different. Like everyone is fully bought into this, like the style of play, everything. Like you know, like every day guys are competing. Like guys are in the gym extra. Like this team is different than like the past teams I had here. But I definitely feel like we will shock a lot of people. Like I even know we'll pick fourth, but hey, it is what it is. It's a like fourth, I guess. You know, it's too soon to tell, but we just gotta just compete. You know, we don't really feed into stuff like that.
Coach talked about David DeJulius and his work, you know, incredible work ethic. What has it been like working with him, and as you two try to get comfortable as two prominent pieces of this backcourt?
Like Dave is a great player, you know. Like from the first time I came in, I seen how hard he works, how hard he plays. Like he brings it every day. So I'm just glad he's on the same team as me. You know, it's crazy how like for a guy that just came in, he just impact us a lot. Like off the rip, like from his first step in here, like he just been great. You know, he's like a leader. Like he's it. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm happy he's here with us right now, and he will surprise a lot of people too this year. Shock a lot of people, not even surprised.
Are you preparing to do more on the ball this season?
Oh yeah, of course. You know, I'm just happy to just been able to just play my game like freely without like just thinking about if I score now, I might not score. Just playing the game, just trying to win. Like I feel like this year for me is like it's a more relaxed Keith. Like no pressure, just playing, trying to win. You know, like no pressing, like just relaxing, just trying to win. That's the main goal.
Guys like Trey and Jan are gone. You get to take that huge role and really run with it.
Yeah. Definitely. You know, from the time I came in, I sat, I watched, I stayed patient, I stayed in the gym. You know, I didn't complain about anything. I didn't try to transfer. I just stayed patient, kept trusting the process. You know, and then now my time is now. Just gotta take advantage. The main goal is to win. And I already won. And now is just trying to just win, like advancing the tournament type. Like that's the main goal. We try to make history for this last year. This time, this team could do it. So I believe it.
I know you took note last year when you didn't make any of the all-conference teams. What was your feeling when you saw that you were a first-team preseason selection?
It was cool, you know, but I'm like, you know, like for the past 2 years, like I didn't make no team, so it's like I'm used to the like not being on the first team, like it's cool, you know. I'm blessed to be in a position, but it's more left on the table that needs to be done, though. So it's great. It's just great to see it, but it's not done yet, you know. It's just a prediction.
You and Chris are two the only two who are double-digit returning scorers. Is there anyone you think can be a third guy on this team? Anyone particularly impressed you?
I feel like this year, don't even be surprised if we have 5 guys and like plus 10 points. Like I feel like guys could score the ball so well on this team. Like it's just any game you don't know who's it. It might be me, Chris, Rap, Dave. Like you don't know. It could be anyone's game every night. Because the ball is just
Tell me your early impressions of this freshman class. It's a big one with 5 new guys coming in. What are you seeing from these young guys as they hit campus and get started?
The future's in great hands. That's first I would say. And those guys bring it every day. They're competing hard. Like it'd be days I'd be like, man, these guys like it's just like they've been here before. Like they're just they bring it every day. They're going hard. Like they defend. They're just competitors, you know, and they work extremely hard. So that's one thing I like about that group. They're just it's different. I swear. Like you guys will see soon, but it's just that their approach to the game, you know, just everything is different than like what you expect from like a guy that's just high school to college, you know. It's just their approach is like they're hungry. Like you can see it in their faces every day, every drill. Like
how fast is Mikey?
He's like if you blink, he's at the rim. Like, he's just so fast. Like, it's crazy. Like, he's going to be so good for us. Like, his speed, he defend. Like, he's tough, like, aggressive. Like, it's amazing how fast he is, though. Like, it's crazy.
We saw what JD was like as a freshman, just in terms of energy, and he wasn't afraid to put it up. What's he been like moving into year 2?
It's the same thing. Like, he's just gonna bring it. He's a guy that's, you cannot sleep on him. Like, you cannot, because before you know it, he might hit 2 threes, 2 rebounds, a dunk, then he's going. Like, he's a guy that's gonna play hard. For, like, if he's in the game for 10 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, he's gonna bring it. Like, he's gonna attack.
Do you have any reaction to the crosstown shootout stuff and the stuff that led to it getting scheduled this year?
Yeah, I seen it, but it's just like, I was like, it just won't be the same without no fans. I feel like that game we need the fans. Like, it's just to thrive off their energy and stuff like that. But hopefully we probably can have some fans, man. Because without fans in there, I just would be like, just like a little pickup game, like a battle in the park, like. But hopefully, man, the fans could be there to support us. That's what we need for that game. Every game, like, fans, but like, we still have to just try to win, like, regardless of who's out there. If our families, nobody out there, like, fans or not, just gotta just try to win. Can't feed into it too much.
You from New York City, right? Like the battles in the park are legendary for New York City.
Yeah, so it'll be great, but I feel like that spark from the fans, like, like I dunked something right now, like I catch a dunk or something. I need that. Fans going crazy is gonna turn me up.
You get to see that side of Coach that he put out in that video more than we do. Were you surprised? He kind of showed.
Nah, I wasn't.
Brannen in public.
Nah, that's Coach, man. It was cool, but that's Coach though. Coach is a funny guy, like, I know you guys probably see him as like a guy that's just like straight business, but like, he's a guy, he's jokes for days.
I mean, when my name was in the draft, I mean, really just getting a lot of feedback and stuff. I just really kind of, me and Keith were talking about it too, just like, we both need to do what's best for us, but that's kind of why we both put our names in, just kind of get feedback and stuff like that. But we both were just kind of talking over and decided we had like some unfinished business, especially like how like the season ended last year. So we just kind of had that to motivate us to come back this year.
Keith, what's it been like working with Rap and getting to know him and his game, and how you guys might complement each other on the floor?
I think we'll complement each other pretty well. I mean, Rap is pretty skilled for his size and moves pretty well, so I feel like we can see him in a lot of pick and pop actions, and he can move pretty well with the ball. So I feel like our games kind of complement each other pretty well.
Chris, you took a big jump last year just in terms of minutes and responsibility for the first time in your college career. What did you learn about yourself and your game?
I mean, really just as long as I put the work in, there's really nothing that, no potential I can't reach in my eyes. I mean, looking from my freshman year to sophomore year to junior year, every year I took a big step. Freshman year, not really playing that much. Sophomore year being the sixth man. Last year being a starter and playing a key role in a championship team. So, I mean, the goal this year is just take another one of those big steps like I have previously.
Was there anything specific you worked on this summer?
I mean, I'm just worked on being more versatile on offense instead of just primarily my points last year came off like ball screens or like catching the ball and off drives and scoring or post ups, and just working on scoring different ways on offense and working just guarding better on defense and rebounding.
There were a bunch of games last year where your minutes would change depending on the matchup. Is there anything you can do to be in a better position to play 30, 35 minutes every single night?
I mean, last year we kind of got in a tough situation just because we lost one of our backup centers there, and then I had a shoulder injury. I don't know if a lot of people knew about that, but actually halfway through conference season I had tore my labrum in my shoulder. But yeah, I think this year will be one of the goals. This is just be able to play more minutes, be able to be more efficient in my minutes while I am out there, and be able to just be more consistent as a whole.
When did you hurt your shoulder? And more importantly, how do you feel like you responded after that injury? Do you feel like your play changed at all? Your style changed at all?
The timing was kind of about halfway through conference, but it wasn't too severe, but it was one of those kind of weird timing things. Like, honestly, couldn't get an MRI like by the end of the season just because of all the COVID and everything hit. And then by the time that like it was over, like I didn't even need surgery anymore because I was already doing therapy and stuff for it. But what was the second part of the question?
Did you have to change your game at all?
Oh, part of that was just like kind of the first half of the season I was playing more physical, and then after that it was just kind of like, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but just kind of like limiting me on offense a little bit. And like I felt like myself, I was playing less physical than what I wanted to.
Chris, you guys are predicted to finish 4th in the American Conference. Is that something that's maybe expected with the loss of Trey and Jaron and guys maybe doubt you, or do you feel like that's a little bit of disrespect for a team that shared the title last year?
I feel like that's a little bit of disrespect just because I'm not sure the last time that Cincinnati's finished below the bottom 3 in the American, but you also just got to look at, I think more so people are looking at what we lost instead of what we have coming back. Because, I mean, hats off to Jaron and Trey and other seniors we had. They were great players, and obviously they're going to have great careers after college, but think about the freshmen we have coming in and the new guys we have transferred in. I think we'll complement each other well and have a pretty good team.
You mentioned Rap earlier. I'm sure you've been probably playing on the same side of him, also playing against him. What about him is going to make his scoring ability that he showed carry over into a new conference?
I mean, he can just shoot the ball very well for his size, and also I'd say he's pretty surprisingly good footwork. I mean, he catches the ball in the low post or mid post. He's able to create angles for himself pretty well. So I feel like he fits well into our offense.
Chris, I know we asked you a lot, especially last year, just about Coach Brannen because of your past relationship with him. What have you seen, him and some of the assistants better than anyone else who've known him longer on this team? How have you seen how they've handled this kind of strange offseason?
I mean, I feel like we've handled it pretty well. I mean, everyone's going through the same thing, so it's tough for everybody. So it seems like, especially in the summer, every week or so, it was just like a new curveball was thrown at us, new guidelines or new rules for how we practice or when we can practice. But they've really been on top of things and really kind of handled it to the best of their abilities.
Same question I asked Keith. What has been your impression of this freshman class as they've gotten on campus? And it seems like they fit in pretty seamlessly from listening to everybody talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really impressed, really all 4 of them in their own way. I mean, I can talk about each of them, honestly. I mean, Mike, he's really good with the ball, really fast, can score well in transition. Tari, just really long and athletic, just wingspan, just like surprise you sometimes in practice. And Mason and Gabe can just shoot the crap out of the ball, and all of them work really hard, so it's not like your typical freshman who they're not really sure like how the college game works or like how to put in extra time. They're all always in the gym getting extra shots, so it's good for like the seniors and juniors, upperclassmen to see freshmen come in already willing to work.